Welcome to SwitchCorner, my name is Alex, and today we're going to be taking a look at Portal on the Nintendo Switch. Now released as part of the Portal collection, I'll be covering the first entry in today's video. Now I already know this game is a classic honestly, but how does it perform? So let's talk about things like options, resolution, frame rate, and then generally, is it still going to be worth that cash, this many years later? Well, hit subscribe, join us here on SwitchCorner for reviews and deals near daily, and let's get started. Portal then is set within the Half-Life universe. You'll find yourself awakening in a lab of sorts, an experimental location. You are being guided by a robotic voice here known as GLaDOS over the intercom system. Now the idea, escape what is increasingly challenging puzzles with a gun-like device introduced early into the game. The story, really, I do want to avoid spoilers, so I'm going to be leaving it there, the setup, but if you've never played Portal, you are in for an absolute treat. It's often hilarious, sometimes sinister, but so frequently it just gets that tone perfect. Its writing is, for me, some of the best out there, and exploring the Aperture Science Lab, it remains an absolute pleasure. Portal then originally came packaged in with the Orange Box bundle before receiving a standalone release. It's a short, kind of punchy first-person puzzle experience that is honestly, to this day, difficult to match. While the sequel expanded the game in nearly every way, this is still a pleasure to this day. An average runtime here, first timers, I'm going to say around 4 hours. Myself now, and anyone that played it before, I can wrap it in around an hour and a half. The idea really is simple, although early in the game you'll be exploring on foot. You'll be introduced to a couple of basic mechanics. That's going to be the ability to pick up crates, stand on switches, and eventually the now famous gun known in game as the Aperture Science handheld portal device. This gun, it allows you to create a tunnel of sorts from one area to the next. Starting the game as well, it will teach you the rules, so to speak, by only allowing you to control of one portal type, with it placing the other automatically, but it doesn't take long to hand over the reins to you with its 20 puzzles, and yeah, before you know it, you'll be controlling both directions. These are signified by an orange portal as well as a blue one. These are attached to the left and right trigger. It will also eventually introduce enemies, so think turrets, and a whole host of environments that can kill you if you do not act quick. Overall, though, really teleportation is the name of the game, but how can you leverage that not only for your character but for the world around you? Other obstacles then, think barriers. If you walk through them, it will actually remove the portals you have in place. There's lasers that must be connected across multiple rooms. There's switches that must be activated in time with on-screen actions. Think of these portals, as I said, not only transportation for you, but objects in the environment as well. And that's really how it dials up the challenge. It's not just about getting from platform to platform, but rather connecting this world in some sort of creative way. Now, my favourite element will always be the momentum-based moments. Think place a portal on an upward sloped panel, then jump from a great height and shoot a portal below your feet, flinging you across these locations. Now, to further complicate matters as well, the portals can only be attached to specific wall types. In the opening moments, that's nearly every wall, ceiling and floor, but quickly it starts to remove this. So this all said, how does it perform on the Nintendo Switch? I'm happy to say they targeted 60 FPS, and for the majority they do succeed. We do see the occasional drop, but I'd never say lower than maybe 50, and it was for maybe a split second at most. It seems to be the most apparent when you create a portal that creates an endless effect, and we can see our character on screen. Alternatively, as well, as you're moving through these locations, there's this slight stutter as it's loading into that next area. Controls wise as well, this is the ideal setup in my eyes. For example, the A button here was jump. Not a fan of that personally, prefer B, and it has fully remappable controls. It even has motion controls as well, with sensitivity options for those that do want to play that way. They've clearly built this game around the Nintendo Switch capabilities, and that is absolutely what you want to see. Rounding out the experience, then, sure, it's a short enough game, but it's packing replayability with an additional 14 bonus maps to overcome. There's a developer commentary should you want to go into further detail, plus a welcome built-in achievement system, which is something I always like to see, especially for a game like this where you can miss so much good stuff. Overall, Portal, it stands up to this day. Look, sure, it's not the longest of experiences, and back at release it was an add-on for that reason, but for the price of this collection, I think it's worth it for this entry alone, and we haven't even got to Portal 2, which is dramatically expanding on this original experience. My review for that entry, once live, you'll find that in the pinned comment below. Graphically then, Portal always had a very modern, clean, almost sterile look, and it's in keeping with the scientific lab setting. That works so extremely well to the Nintendo Switch's strengths. The resolution, from what I can tell, it remains at 1080p throughout, docked, 720 in handheld, and the lighting effects here, they still impress. Sure, the opening, a whole host of brightly lit rooms, but that will kind of change with your advancement, and it definitely began to impress. There's not a huge amount of variety in here then, but given the story, the setting, it actually makes sense, and I particularly enjoy the turrets that attack on sight. For what is, a mechanical system, they pack a ton of charm, especially when they are flailing around, firing in all directions. The menus here, they look a little dated if anything, and that's me being super picky. Audio finally, and incredible stuff. The Portal gun has a nice sci-fi like effect, environments have some minimal but effective ambience, and then the music, it more than reinforces not only the world but the narrative that is unfolding. The real winner here though, that's GLaDOS, the robotic face. It's incredibly well delivered, and between the rating and this narrative overall, it's considered now a classic in the video game landscape. So overall, I love Portal, always have played it back on release in the Orange Box collection, went on to pick it up standalone on Steam, and now I have it on console as well. It's extremely clever across the board, the rating is hilarious, the gameplay simple to control, difficult to often figure out, and then the bonus features, they go a long way to padding out what may be considered a bite-sized runtime. Do not let that put you off though, this is absolutely a game everyone should experience. I do prefer the second entry myself, it definitely improves across the board, but this is still more than worth your time. In fact, I would argue the price of the Portal collection, that is a fair price for this entry on its own, never mind that they're throwing in the sequel as well. That's going to be clocking in the sequel probably around double the length for this one, if not more, around the 8-hour mark. For this entry then, I'm going with an amazing 9 out of 10. Watch out then for my Portal 2 review, you'll find that in the pinned comment below. With that then, will you be picking up the Portal collection or holding onto that cash? A shout out then to the patrons of the channel who are going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. It helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. Then hit subscribe, but join us here on SwitchCorner for reviews and deals near daily, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.